Okay, it's time. I'm answering the question I get asked the most. Literally the number one question I get asked pretty much every day. Calvin, when do I know it's the right time to buy? Let's not even worry about the right time to sell yet. That'll be another video. But when is the right time to buy? I got some methods for you. Here we go. All right, let's get into it. And guess what? I can just make myself smaller because I got OBS right here. I think that's about a good size right there. Cool. Most of you buy in one of two ways. Way number one is you wake up in the morning and you're like, I want to buy some of this stock today, and it's a down day, and I'm going to just throw some money in there randomly. It could be any time of the day. You just throw it in there. Okay. Others of you will set up what we'll just call a buy limit. So you just said like, okay, Calvin, well, when Google gets to 150, or we'll just say 160 here. You'll just say, okay, well, Calvin, when Google gets to 160, so right there, I got a buy limit for X amount of shares. But here's the problem with both of those things. Problem with way number one, if you're just buying into the market whenever, is you're not really using a strategy at all. You're just completely going off emotions, and we know how that gets, and you can lose track of things. The other problem with this way, which I'm describing, is what if price gets all the way to here and then bounces right there and it doesn't fill you? How frustrating, right? There's even a third way. Some of you, it's kind of a combination of both. It gets to a level, so let's say like to the 200 SMA right here, and then you get an alert on your phone and then you just mark it in right there. So you're like, okay, I'm just buying off moving averages. Well, the problem with that is you get the same problem with the buy limit, right? What if it bounces right above it? Or even worse, what if it just melts right through the moving average? So today I'm going to show you a couple ways to set up your buys so they're just a little better. Okay, way number one is if we go to like a 15-minute, right? So you can see today, Google was down. It was a down day. Now, when I originally opened my phone earlier, I think I opened it right around this time, and I was like, ooh, I should buy some. Google's on a down day. But that's just what I was just talking about. People just open their phones and they're like, I want to buy some. What I do instead is I'll put on like the 10 EMA on the 15-minute, and until we close back over it, which we did right here, I won't buy any yet that day. Okay. So I would have bought in here, which is better than buying at the close, and it's better than buying here. Pretty cool. Just a cool way to get in on a day when it finally does reverse, right? And if it never reverses and you still want to buy on that day, just buy at the close because it'll be the lowest price of the day. So another way I'll do it is like this. I'll have set buy levels, right? So I'll say, hey, if we get down to the 100 or the 200, I'm going to buy a lot. But in the meantime, just to kind of scratch that itch on every down day, any down day, doesn't matter when it is. We could be in the middle of a down day, like one of these days, probably was at one point, and I'm allowed to buy a small amount. So like $20 worth. So you just give yourself permission. At any time I can buy $20 worth, which is cool because it's like you kind of scratch that itch, but you still save the majority of your buying power to buy at the 100 or the 200 if we get there. That's another way I control how I buy in and get a better average. As you know, my favorite way is pyramids, or just kind of buying in ranges, I guess you might say. So for this one, I'm going to throw on the 50, and I'm just going to draw a basic triangle. I do this sometimes. I'll go between all three. And I would just draw it like that. I'll grab this little price tool and I'll go up another like 2.5%, 3%-ish. And I'll actually draw the pyramid up into kind of there. And I'll do the same thing down here. I'll take the 200 and I'll kind of draw it down into here. Okay. And now this pretty much covers my bases because if price comes in and bounces just before the 50, I'm good, right? Obviously, if it gets in anywhere in here, I'm good. And if it goes a little bit past the 200, I'm good. So just kind of covering your bases because you'll see over and over and over that price will always bounce in the weirdest spot, but it's always around these moving averages, usually for the most part. So how much would I buy? I'd probably do 100 at the top, 100 here, and then 200, okay? And if you wanted to keep that going, I would actually then go to 300 because that's the next Fibonacci number, then 500, okay? But for the sake of this example, we're just going to do 3 adds. It's the easiest off the 50, the 100, and the 200, right? So what I would probably do is when we got within that like 2.5%, 3% range of the 50, I'd probably buy my first like 20 shares, right? And then on the 50, I'd buy the rest, right? Like the remaining 80 shares. That way, if it comes here and bounces, I still get a little bit, right? And the same thing down here. When we get kind of close to it, I'll buy maybe 20, 30 shares, right? But then when it touches the 100, I'll buy the rest. And then at the bottom here, same thing. You're probably buying 100 shares in here, another 100 here. I mean, if you really want to just, drop the hammer down and add one more 100 shares down here and your stops here, below this swing low, be my guest. But that's kind of how I go about it. Another thing I like to do sometimes is just come over here to and sort by percent change, and I'll just find the Mag 7 stock that's down the most on that day. So on this day, it looks like Amazon was down further. Amazon was down the most. No, excuse me, Meta was. Meta was down 2.7%. So what I'll do is I'll just go to Meta and buy some today because it was the most on sale thing today in the Mag 7. Just today. Now, you're going to look at that and go, Calvin, that's not really a pullback. I understand. But, Meta just pretty much goes straight up if you haven't noticed by now. So, yeah, I'm just buying on every red day, especially if it's a big red day for Meta. I'm going to buy a little bit. I'm not putting my entire life savings in it right now, but I will buy $50 of it every day that it, goes down 3%. Because as you know, a big Mag 7 stock like Meta can only have so many 3% down days before there's a big relief day, right? Now, just to reiterate, am I telling you to go buy, 400 or 500 shares of Google right now off the 100? No, I'm not. Okay. Can you? Sure. Am I buying Google? 1000%. Am I buying that much? Probably not, but I'm definitely going to buy some. I would love to get 100 shares of Google total, right? In kind of this area. This is another thing I like to do. Just draw these little circles. One last thing. This is a great way to know when to buy. In general, when we're talking about the Mag 7 stocks, QQQ, SPY, right? The big things that a lot of people trade. On the daily, and the 4 hour too, but on the daily especially, when you see something get overbought or oversold, usually a pretty good indicator that it's not a bad place to buy, right? If things are oversold. And if we're overbought, not a bad place to trim. But I promised you that we would save the when to sell video for a later date. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was super fun for me to make. Comment, subscribe, do all the things. I'll see you guys next week. And remember, buy good levels. Be patient. That's the number one thing, guys. Just be patient. Stick to your guns. And also, I can't stress this enough. This is the last thing I'm going to say. If you said you're going to buy something and then it gets to that level and the news is bad and it's scary, but you said you're going to buy it. Stick to your guns. Don't let fear and emotions run the show here, okay? So anyways, take it easy, guys. Love you. Talk soon.